Hello, Millie. This is just, I wanted to make this for the record just in case anything happens to your dad or, I don't know, you never know what goes on in life, do you? So, and Daddy hasn't been too well physically, even before we had you, to be honest. So, I want to start by saying, I'm going to end up breaking down here. You mean the absolute world to your dad, you know. I love you with all my heart, darling. And I just wanted to set the record straight because in my life I've come to realise that there's three sides to every story. You've got side A, side B, and the truth. So, you know, by this stage, if you're watching this video, you've grown up knowing what your mum has to say. I'm sure I can have a couple of guesses, but you know, I don't know exactly what's been said because I've been cut out of your life basically when you was only about one and a bit maybe, you know. All contact was seized, you know, towards your dad. So I've been stopped from seeing you since a little baby, and I just wanted to make this one just to tell you honestly Dad's point of view. Now, this might take some brain racking to go back into time and things like that, but basically, when contact, I'm going to start with the contact season. I may go prior to that, even back to when your mum was pregnant with you and things like that, or even further back. Actually, I could go further back. So basically, and I'm going to go into the future. So when contact was seized, I didn't even get the opportunity to say goodbye to you, darling. And for a dad, that's the most heartbreaking. In fact, for a mum, that would be the most heartbreaking thing. Now, I'm going to go backwards in time first, right? So when I first met your mum, well, actually, I met her in school initially. That's how we ended up having a relationship because I came across her randomly on social media one time and asked her if she remembered me, and at which case she said she did. And basically, we followed it up and had a relationship. She came through to Whitby and she brought Alia and Zach with her. No, sorry, first time she came on her own. But what is it? I can't really say what happened, but I'm sure you can guess what happened. So anyway, then after that, she came through with Alia and Zach, and I'm trying not to say anything negative about your mum because I know that your mum's your mum. So please bear that in mind throughout this video. So anyway, although I am going to say negative things, what I'm meaning by that is I'm trying not to diss your mum, basically, you know, because end of the day, she's your mum and she loves you. Now, when your mum first, well, after the first visit, she then came through with Alia and Zach, right? And they all stayed over. In my current flat where I'm living on the day of making this video, the kids stayed in my living room and me and your mum stayed in my bedroom because I live in a one-bedroom flat at present. So basically, something that for me at least should have been a red flag, and I don't know why it wasn't. She just randomly turned around and she was saying, just casually said to me, I might Alia and Zach from seeing their dad. And I said, you can't do that. And she's like, why? And I'm like, well, it's their dad and he hadn't done anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, she took on board what I said. And at a later date, she actually said the only reason that they see the dad is because of me, basically. And anyway, so we carried on the relationship. You know, at the time I was a bit blind to what the future may hold, but I weren't thinking with my head, put it that way, and that's my fault, you know. At the time I'd been single for quite some time, and I were just looking to have some fun, really, you know, and I should have been more honest with your mum about that. I don't know if your mum, like, truly loved me or not, but she claimed straight away near enough that she loved me. And if she did, then I apologise for that, because that is my fault, for being a man, basically. And I think in one of my earlier videos, that's why I said to you to, find the right man for you in life that you know truly loves you and you truly love him. Or woman, if, you turn out to prefer women, Dad has no problem with either. So anyway, basically, hang on, I'm losing where I were. So we had a relationship, and some of it were real nice, you know. Your mum, at first, when I first started a relationship with your mum, used to treat me overly nice, too nice, you know, and I didn't treat her as good as what I could have done. Again, I hold my hand up to that, you know. And she used to shower me with gifts and stuff, and I just naively accepted them, and I did get her gifts back, but they weren't like from the heart. Does that make sense? You know, they weren't like emotionally thought of as such, you know. And like I say, at that point, I should have treated your mum a lot better than what I did, right? And anyway, time went by. I'm not sure how far into our relationship she got pregnant, but your mum always refused to use contraception with your dad. Your dad did want to, and I don't want that to sound horrible, because I was so proud when I found out that we was having you know. But I used to say to your mum, you know, can we use it? And she just told me that she was allergic to everything going, basically. So anyway, we both remember when your mum became pregnant. You know, your mum remembers it, and Dad remembers exactly the moment. I remember exactly where we were in my flat, you know. All that, that were a lovely moment that me and your mum shared together. And I don't know what your mum's doing if you're watching this, you know, because I'm assuming that if you're watching it, it's possibly too late to meet your dad. Although, regardless, I'm going to keep this video on my YouTube channel just so that you can view your dad's point of views when you're a grown woman yourself, basically. But anyway, so your mum got pregnant, and she called me to let me know while she were over in Keighley. And being honest, I acted to your mum as if I didn't know what she were calling to tell me, but I knew full well what she were calling to tell me. I just guessed somehow, that she was pregnant, Like I say, I mean, we kind of both knew anyway. But like, basically, she called me and she was like, I'm pregnant, should I keep the baby or, whatever. And now we're over the moon straight away, and I'm like, yes, 100% keep the baby, you know. And basically, so that made me realise that although I knew I didn't love your mum deep down, and I'm so sorry to you that I didn't, I felt like I had enough respect for her um, that I could help her bring you up, and be. I wanted to be with her, because she was carrying my baby, basically. Now, um, from that very moment, your mum's attitude towards daddy completely changed. Um, she just got nastier and nastier as time went on, and during her pregnancy, your dad thought he had cancer actually, and I was going back and forth to hospital, and I was having biopsies and things like that. And of course, I know that your mum was pregnant, but she used that against your dad big time. Like she basically would say, oh, you're never there because this and that. I'm pregnant, blah blah blah. And being straight up honest, some of that was because I was back and forth to hospital and getting biopsies. But the other part of that, Millie, was your mum was really bringing your dad down, with the bad attitude and things like that. And just, there would just nothing that I could seem to do would please your mum, basically. She just turned horrible towards me. And I don't know why. I don't know, at the time I thought it was like hormones, and I tried to deal with it and whatever, but I don't know if she A, just wanted a child out of me, or B, felt upset or something because she knew that I initially didn't want to be with her until she got pregnant or something. I don't know, but I tried making things work after she'd got pregnant. I put all of my effort into the relationship. Now, granted, I should have done right from the start. And again, I can't apologise to you or your mum enough for not doing that. As much as me and your mum have got animosity between each other right now, I do have a certain responsibility for not putting in 100% at the very beginning of the relationship. But anyway, so we tried to make, or I tried to make things work. I don't know, I can't speak for your mum, at this point. But basically, so I tried to make things work. And throughout the pregnancy, her pregnancy, she just got nastier and nastier towards me, Millie, to be quite honest. And it kept me away because I'm not the kind of guy that, I don't like to argue. It's just not part of my nature, basically. I'd rather avoid confrontation, if that makes sense. And it progressively got worse, all this, and it were making me feel so down. I used to find myself walking around Keighley just crying my eyes out and stuff, when I'd go to visit. So it weren't a healthy relationship, and I used to break down. I used to end up calling my mum, your grandma, and, just in tears and not knowing what to do because I knew that we were expecting to have you. And I wanted, I wanted to be in your life. I always have wanted to be in your life, and basically, so I'm trying to think where I'm at. Basically, I can't remember if I'd got to the bottom of my health. No, I hadn't got to the bottom of my health situation. I remember that coming up to the Christmas. I think probably the year you were born, Millie. I remember I was at your mum's house one night. We were actually getting on this particular night, and my blood pressure was sky high because your mum tested my blood pressure. She had a blood pressure machine at the time, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna have to calm down." And not necessarily your mum's fault, but like life in general just got so stressful. Everything from travelling back and forth to, the whole situation were just stressing me out, and I felt like I was going to have a heart attack, especially after having my blood pressure read. And basically, I can't remember if we left, each other, me and your mum, left each other on good or bad terms that visit, but more often than not, we'd fall out and then I'd come back to Whitby. So basically, what is it? So yeah, that went on for 9 months basically until you was born, and I didn't realise this until my mum had spoke to me. But when you were born, your mother wasn't gonna invite me to the hospital. She was just gonna have a friend come to the hospital instead. But I didn't know this at the time. And anyway, when I found out she was in the hospital, I rushed over. Obviously, I was excited, a little bit nervous, but I was more excited than nervous, to be honest. So yeah, I rushed over, and when I got there, your mum's mum was there, your grandma Wilson, and at the time I used to get on with your grandma Wilson. I always, during the time I knew her, I always got on with her, and basically, so she was there, and when I arrived, I remember saying something to your mum along the lines of, "Oh, he's here now, do you want me to go," or whatever. And I was saying, no, stay, you're fine, but she was like, no, it's okay, I'll go, blah, blah, blah. So she left, and anyway, as soon as she left, your mum said to me, she goes, "Oh, I'm checking myself out because I want a joint." And I was like, "No, don't check yourself out," because obviously I'd never had a child, and your mum had been through it a few times, and I was just concerned. I wanted a healthy baby that were going to be, safely delivered. And basically, when your mum wants to do something, there's no telling her opposite. Basically, that's my opinion. But if you're a woman by now, you'll have your own opinion. And basically, so she checked herself out of hospital against my will, but we didn't fall out over it. Although at a later point she claimed that I was apparently shouting in hospital and whatnot, and I don't think I were, to be honest. But anyway, so she checked herself out, and I had to drive her back home so she could have a joint. And basically, when we were going through Keighley, there'd been a fire by Jean Junction. I don't even know if that'll be a business by the time you grow up, but Jean Junction is it's basically a shop that sells jeans, obviously, that's close to the roundabout by, I can't remember the name of the little park area, Church Green, I think they call it. There'd been a truck fire, so it blocked all of Whitby, not Whitby, Keighley, sorry, off. And so anyway, it ended up taking 4 hours to get her home. And basically, so yeah, it took 4 hours to get her up home. I had to go like a detour route to get past where the fire had been and everything. And what do you call it? Trying to think. So yeah, took this detour, and then once we got through the door, she went and had a joint, right? And as soon as she'd had it, she was like, "Oh, my waters have, broke, so, we're gonna have to get back to hospital." And I'll be honest, I'd had a joint as well, because I used to smoke cannabis at that point, and I just thought I might as well whilst we're here, calm my nerves sort of thing, because I was terrified anyway, and that didn't help at all. So I couldn't drive by that stage, so we booked a taxi, and we went back to hospital. And what do you call it? In the taxi on the way there, your mum were pretty much having contractions, and the taxi driver were just taking ages getting us there as well. And I could tell your mum were getting more and more desperate. But anyway, we made it, and as soon as we got through the doors at the hospital, she started going into like labour pains. I don't know much about labour pains because obviously I'm a man, but she couldn't really move much once we'd got through the hospital doors. And so basically, I went into hospital, and she had you. Now, this was the most beautiful moment in my life. When we was in the labour ward, the nurse who delivered you asked me if I wanted to cut your umbilical cord, which I did. In fact, prior to going to hospital, one of my friends had mentioned to me, do I plan to do that? And I didn't realise you could until my friend had mentioned it. And because my friend had mentioned it and stuff, I was sort of prepared to do it, And so anyway, so I cut your cord, and it were quite a experience, because I did and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was going to feel like, but obviously I knew I was going to do it. And I won't say it's really tough, but it feels a bit like cutting really stringy meat, to put it bluntly, that's what it feels like. So anyway, I did that, and I felt proud. I remember feeling proud for doing it. And then next thing, the nurse goes to me, would you like to hold her? So I'm like, right, hang on then, let me sit down just in case I happen to faint or something like that. So I went, there was this chair on the other side of bed, and I went and sat down. Sorry. Your daddy's next trying to stop smoking cigs, because that's half the reason why I've got bad health. Basically, so I went and sat down, and I still remember like it was yesterday, the nurse bringing you over to me, and as soon as she put me in you in my arms, you opened your eyes and looked at me, and it was the most amazing feeling ever, Millie. I can't even describe it. It was just beautiful, the most beautiful moment Daddy has ever experienced in his life. And right there and then I knew that I loved you, and everything just fell into place. I knew you were my child. I knew everything, you know what I mean? You're beautiful. And so basically, and then once you'd looked into my eyes, I could. Another thing, by the way, I could tell that you were intelligent when I looked into your eyes. And so you looked at me, and then you sort of blinked, and then you looked around, like taking in your environment in the room. And shortly after that, I think I had a couple of minutes holding you, and then I passed you over to your mum so she could have a hold and stuff. And in hindsight, I should have really seen what was coming. Just the way that your mum cradled you were like she's mine, get away almost, you know. And like we were both smitten with you though, obviously, you know. And how do I explain it? Like your mum, I don't think she intentionally wanted to shut your dad out. Basically, I think she I don't know. I just don't know, because I struggle to read your mum. But basically, in that moment, I think it were just pure love, you know. She loved you the way that I loved you, you know. And so anyway, the nurse left, and I can't remember how me and your mum ended up. We didn't argue, like, because obviously we're in hospital and everything. But like, we had a disagreement, and I can't remember what caused it, to be quite honest. But I just remember, I think she just started being nasty with me again, but I don't know why. I don't know if I'd said something that had offended her, or if she, you know what I mean, I don't know. But basically, we left the hospital not happy with each other. Well, we were over the moon with you, but me and you know, the atmosphere, the nurse like literally left the ward, and everything were happy and over the moon we had you. And then when she next come in, the atmosphere had totally changed, you know. And I think even the nurse probably picked up on it. So anyway, we got ourselves ready and checked out of the hospital. I think they did a few tests to make sure you were healthy first, basically, and things like that, if I remember correctly, which is fair enough, you know, that's standard procedure. And so anyway, we left the hospital, and we were trying to act as if everything were okay on the way out, you know, but I think me and your mum, we just knew we didn't want to be with each other by that point, to be honest. And but we wanted to make things work for you. Does that make sense? And so we got out of the hospital and we booked a taxi. Taxi picked us up, nearly crashed on the way home. So because he was too busy, we'd both sat in the back together with you, if I remember correctly. I'm sure we were. I might have been in the front, actually. I don't know. I think I were in the front. I think I were in the passenger seat and your mum were in the back with you, sorry. And what do you call it? The taxi driver were too busy looking in the back, you know, because we were like, oh yeah, we just had a new baby and blah blah blah. So it's like chatting away, looking in the back of the car, and we were going down Keighley bypass, and he just nearly rit off into like a truck or something. And I remember me and your mum both telling you, hey, watch where you're going, mate, don't be killing us on the way home, you know. And so anyway, we got back to your mum's house. I don't know if it's still, you know, by the time you see this, I don't know if it's still where she lives or not. At the time it was Five Elm Grove, which was the house she was born into, basically. You know, first few years of your life, that's where you lived with your mum and Alia and Zach and Kyle and Chris. And anyway, when we got in, your mum had set up our house with Christmas decorations because she wanted you to see Christmas deco when you first got home, which I thought were a beautiful idea of your mum's, actually. And it was so cute to watch you taking it all in, because you looked just mesmerised by all the lights, you know. You had them baby eyes and you were just taking everything in, you know. It was so amazing watching you. And so basically, can't remember exactly how long I stayed at your mum's house on that occasion. I probably overstayed my welcome, because like I say, I really tried to do my best to be involved in your life and be a good dad, basically. And so anyway, but I kept my flat because I knew that me and your mum deep down didn't really get on, do you know what I mean? And so basically, you know, that Christmas period though was lovely because we was happy with you, and for a while you brought me and your mum together, or I felt that. I don't know what she was thinking, but you know, for a couple of months or so, we were, you know, I was trying to make things work with your mum. I really gave it my best shot when you were born, basically. You know, I felt at the time as if I needed to make up to your mum for not really having 100% commitment at the beginning of the relationship. So I were like playing make-up time, you know, for just not being fully committed. So like I was doing my best basically to make things work and to be around for you, because my parents broke up when I was 6, and I remember the breakup and everything, and I didn't want you to go through that. And my way of thinking at the time were to sort of make things work with your mum until you at least grew up. But in hindsight, it were the silliest move I could have really made, you know. But I wanted to make things work for you, darling, basically. And so anyway, time went by. Me and your mum got on for quite a while. We had those moments and stuff, but your mum gradually, like I say, just got more, what's the word, negative towards me, you know. She used to F and blind around the house, and that used to bring me down, and loads of stuff went on, like just the house was always a mess. You know, the cats used to wee in the kitchen overnight, and I'd end up standing on it in the morning, and all sorts of stuff. And your mum used to shut them in like cupboards and stuff, and I didn't agree with that, because you know, your dad loves animals, and you know, I treat animals with you know, the utmost respect as well. I'm a bit like the Pied Piper with animals. I have cats that come to visit Daddy and stuff like that, you know. But anyway, we just both lived totally differently, you know. We had a few things where we what's the word, bonded on, You being number one, obviously. But me and your mum, we used to bond with music a little. I think I used to be too much into my music because when we would fall out, I used to just play music to drown your mum out. I know that sounds awful, doesn't it? But like, I just couldn't cope with the arguing and the screaming and the shouting, and I just couldn't cope with it. So I used to play music on my mobile phone to sort of, distract myself, really. Sorry, my boiler's gone and I've got no heat in my flat. I'm having to use a fan heater. Bear with me, Millie. One thing. Oh, I know where it's gone. There we go. Right. So yeah, I used to I'd play like just songs that I remembered when I was a child. I don't know why, like stuff that my parents used to play basically at that period in my life, and so I used to play these songs just to try and take my mind off what your mum was having a go about or whatever, But basically, over time, the relationship deteriorated to a point where it was just impossible. From my point of view, I found your mum just impossible to make things work with, and I could see it. I could see it all along, really. But love's blind, and I loved you, basically. And because I wanted to make things work for you, I would try to convince myself that I loved your mum. And basically, as the relationship deteriorated, my relationship with Kyle and Chris started to deteriorate a little bit. Because at first, we all got on quite well, I'd say when I first got with your mum, Kyle were probably the hardest one for me to get along with because he was inside of his shell and he never used to leave his room, really. But I knew he was a nice lad. Do you know what I mean? He just. I mean, your mum always told me he was severely autistic. Now, to a certain degree, I do agree he probably were or is. But I used to feel like I could bring him out of his shell, basically, a little bit, because back then I used to have a lot of banter and I used to, go places and do things. And your mum, during the time that I knew her, was like a bit of a hermit. She never used to leave the house, really. And I felt that because of that didn't help Kyle, and I think it contributed, still do think it contributed to the way that Kyle were. And so basically, I'm trying to think now without getting lost. So I used to offer your mum to, I used to say to her, send him out with me and I'll get him socialising with people and stuff, because I used to think, take him to like local garages and stuff, because I used to do a lot of, just bits of work on all sorts, to be honest. But, I used to be in with a lot of mechanics and things back then. And basically, in that life, there's a lot of banter, like workmen tend to take the mickey out of each other and just have a bit of a laugh. And I used to think, if you just sat in the car, someone would start bantering with him, and it'd get him out of his shell. So, I used to suggest that, but she just, like I say, you can't convince your mum. If your mum don't agree or don't want to do something, or it's not her way, there's no telling her, or at least that's my experience. And what is it? Chris at the time used to just sit on his computer most of the time, and I used to think that Chris were sort of doing okay, really, because he at the time he did socialise. He had his own group of friends, and he was quite quiet. He weren't rowdy or anything, but he he used to go to college and things like that. So I didn't find any concerns with Chris at the time, and basically Alia and Zach I were really close with. Um, Zach used to be a little bit wild at times, but like I could see potential in him. Basically, I thought he was a good young lad. At the time I was with your mum, he was 8 years old, and I used to take him down to school in the morning sometimes, and I'd pick him up sometimes and things like that. And I used to, get on with his teachers, and how do I explain this? I used to feel like they were relieved to deal with me over your mum. Now, whether that's because, my outlook on stuff with your mum, or whether your mum were just difficult with everybody, I don't know. But the teachers used to really open up to me about Zach, because he were having a lot of problems in school back then. And what do you call it? Alia were never really any issue. She's, to me, she was the smartest one out of your siblings, and your to me, she was more grown up than your mum. I think Alia might have been 13 at the time, if I remember correctly. 12 or 13, or she might have actually been 12 when I first got with your mum and turned 13. I can't quite remember. But I remember she was in junior school when I first started seeing your mum, and she moved up to secondary school during that period. And back then, she was the only one that cooked properly, like, proper meals and stuff. And she was just a lovely young lass, basically, really friendly and polite. But I didn't find any of your other relatives to be like that, I did get on with your Uncle Day back then. I used to help him with his car, because he were having a lot of car trouble at the time. And I never got on with your granddad, really, I have to admit. He just, from word go, were a bit funny with me. But I was respectful of him, basically. And I remember one time your mum were being, I don't even know how to describe it, because she were being awful, but she were being weird as well. And I thought, I just don't know what caused me to, but I started recording her with my phone, and I did it without I did it like secretly, sort of thing, But she caught me doing it, and then she called her dad, right? This was shortly after you were born. I can't remember how long after you were born, but she caught me doing it, and she phoned her dad, and she made it sound like I were like beating her up or something, basically, to your dad, to her dad, your granddad. And so she got him to come through, and I thought I'd better stick around to speak to the guy, because if I just sort of went off, it'd look bad. So I stayed there, and I waited for him to arrive. I think that was actually when you were born, the time I just mentioned. And he ended up saying to me, look, just go back to Whitby, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I want to be here because I want my daughter to know me and stuff like that. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. She will, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, just, you know, cool it and, you know, it'll be all good. So I went back to Whitby. And then I can't remember how long it were before I came back through, but it wouldn't have been long because, you know, I'll try to make things work to, you know, for you, Millie. And basically, things never got no better between me and your mum. In fact, it got worse over time. And basically, I'm trying to remember where I'm at now because a lot of stuff had happened around this time. And so anyway, we kept on trying to make it work, basically. And it just, I think we both, by this point, probably knew that it weren't going nowhere. Hang on. And so I remember when I initially walked out, I just couldn't take any more. And I remember your mum stopping me on my way out. You probably deny this, but I remember stopping me, like in my face and everything, trying to stop me leaving. And she was like, said something along the lines of, you know, why are you going? I'm the perfect girlfriend and this and that. And I remember my exact words to her, and I meant it, to be honest. You know, like, she's like, I'm the perfect girlfriend, and I just said, you're not, you're really not, you know. And she tried to convince me for a while, and you know, she was like breaking down crying, and I didn't want to upset your mum, so I kept on like hugging her and like saying, look, Judy, I'm sorry, but you know, you're not, basically. And eventually she just says, right, well, fuck it, just go then. So I left, and I felt like a weight were off my shoulders in the sense of the relationship. So for a while I were like, when your mum would be speaking to me, because she used to, at that time, she used to send me messages saying how heartbroken she were and things. And if that is the case, if I did break her heart, again, I'm sorry for that, Millie, because, you know, that is my fault, basically, you know, because, like I say, I'd gotten involved with your mum knowing that I didn't love her, basically, initially. And so basically, at the time, I was trying not to get back with her, you know, but I wanted to be there for you still, you know. And so I was saying things like that in response, you know, like, we're never going to work, Judy, but I'm always here for you, sort of thing, you know. And we were quite amicable for a while. And I preferred it that way, to be honest. I preferred it when me and your mum was more friends. To me, that were like you know, that worked better than trying to be in a relationship together. And so anyway, where are we at? Over time, it gradually started to break down. I think your mum had started to hate me, basically, to overcome possibly her feelings towards your dad, basically, you know. I don't really know because I can't speak for somebody else. But I remember she met someone, she never told me, but I figured it out, you know, like Ali and Zach used to mention him, and she'd mentioned him once or twice, you know, your mum, I mean. Met someone called Adam, and it made me a little jealous, I'll be honest, you know, because I didn't want somebody else, I didn't want you calling another man your dad more than anything. and that's being straight up honest, you know. And basically, well, this whole video is to give you my honest point of view, basically. So I'm making it, you know, now whilst stuff's, I mean, it's not fresh because about a year has gone by since contact was stopped, but you know what I mean. You know, it's still reasonably fresh in my mind. And basically, like I say, if you do watch this video, it means I'm probably not alive anymore or something, you know. I mean, you can, if I am alive and you decide to come and find me, again, you can watch it, do you know what I mean? As long as you're old enough to take on board what I'm saying, basically. And so anyway, where were? So she met this fella called Adam, and that sort of, it played on my emotions a little bit, really. And I thought I were actually speaking to another lass at the time. I wasn't seeing them or anything, but I was planning to go on a date with this other person. So it made me abruptly stop talking to that person, and I thought I'm gonna go and make things work. So I don't know why, but my emotions told me that I loved you, Mum, at that moment in my, you know, in time for me. So anyway, it was coming up to the Christmas after you'd been born. So you'd been born for about, you know, you'd been alive for about a year at this stage. And so I went over for the Christmas period, which reminds your mum had like told a load of fibs to me and my mum about Santa and stuff. She was saying, oh yeah, because me and my mum, prior to this situation, it might have been around that I caught on to this Adam guy, but like basically, me and my mum wanted to take you to see Santa, because we were thinking that, you know, your mum wouldn't have done that, so we were wanting to take you to see Santa. And when my mum contacted you about going to see Santa, your mum told us, oh, I've already booked it with my friend or something like that, you know, which it weren't true. Me and my mum knew they weren't true, basically. And anyway, she literally booked it whilst we were talking to her about it, I remember. And so anyway, a week or so after that, I was talking to your mum just in general over social media, and she goes, my friend's dropped out of coming to see Santa, do you want to come? So I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll come along, sort of thing. And it were over that Christmas period, I thought, I'm gonna try to make things work with Judy, basically, again, you know. And I put in even more effort than before, you know, Millie. I remember your mum used to complain when we was dating that I never used to leave my stuff at her house or anything, and I used to like live out of a bag, basically. So I took not all of them, but a load of my best clothes and just nice stuff, you know, because I wanted to make an effort for your mum. So I did, and I really treated her like a princess when I went through, you know. I did my best to treat her nicely, but I could see that she'd lost that vibe towards me completely, you know. She was on her phone texting and, you know, like just not you know, giving me the attention that I was putting in back to me by that stage. So I knew I'd lost her, really, you know. And I think I was just really doing a heading when I was there that Christmas. We did have a bit of an intimate moment, but we didn't connect. Because prior to that, that's the one thing that we did connect with was intimacy. We were quite. I think we both enjoyed each other in that sense, you know. But that particular, I remember over that Christmas, the intimacy were just not what it used to be. And so basically, but we were intimate, and I were trying to just make your mum happy, basically, that particular visit. And what were lovely was spending time with you over the Christmas. I remember we sat and we watched Lion King together, and it was the most time that I've been able to actually spend with you, Millie, properly, like as a dad. And I remember getting you to walk around the house with me, and sitting opposite your mum and getting you to walk between us, because you were like on the verge of walking by then, if I remember correctly. I remember we were having to hold you a bit at that stage, but last time I saw you, you were on the verge of walking and talking. And so basically, and you said like dada a couple of times to me, slightly, like you I could tell you were trying to say dada. And it was beautiful, and we opened your presents. I remember I felt a bit rotten actually, because your mum had bought you all presents, but like I turned up and your presents just obliterated everybody else's presents because I turned up with so many. Not just from me, they were from me, your Auntie Laura, and your Grandma Ros, like combined. But like we'd just gone all out and bought you so much stuff, and I think that your mum felt a bit, what's the word? Not intimidated, but like, we'd just made it look like none of the other kids had any presents, basically. Although I got presents for everybody, don't get me wrong, but obviously you're my daughter, so I'd focused on you. And like I say, we'd all, as a family, my family, I mean, we'd gone overboard getting your presents, basically. We just wanted to spoil you, basically. You're my only daughter, so I wanted to spoil you. And I remember I didn't even get the opposite. That's one thing I weren't happy about, really. And also when we went to see Santa, your mum just took over, and I didn't really get a look in. I was more like the photo guy. But like when you were opening your presents on Christmas morning, your mum pretty much opened every single present that I'd bought for you, without involving me. Your mum and Alia, basically, between them. Which I didn't, I wanted to open some of them with you, but like I didn't say anything because I didn't want to upset the vibe, I just let them get on with it, basically. But this is what I mean, the whole time you've been born, I've been shut away from being a dad, basically. And it kills me inside, Millie. You're my only child, and the way I feel I've been treated is not nice, basically. Not only that, it's not fair on you, because to me, a child needs both parents, and the child should be nurtured by both parents equally, And so anyway, after the Christmas, I think about a week after the Christmas, me and your mum had fallen out again by that stage. I think that was the final time that I tried making things work with your mum and stuff. And basically, I went back to Whitby, and I assumed that she'd just started seeing this Adam fella by this stage, Whether behind me back or not, I don't know. I think she were still seeing him. I think she were seeing him whilst I was there and everything. Not in between, but I think she were talking to him. Do you know what I mean? And starting a new relationship, basically. And so anyway, I'd actually missed something out. Going back to when your mum was pregnant, uh, Ali and Zach's dad once turned up, and I was in the living room, and he came into the kitchen. Now, I didn't see it with my own eyes, Millie, but I remember the commotion of it. And I remember your mum saying, "Don't be showing him that," blah, blah, blah. And I just, picked my ears up and I was listening. And what do you call it? I remember him like laughing when she'd said that, but I didn't know what really had gone on, right? But anyway, after he'd left, I asked your mum about it. What had gone on? And she was like, "Oh, he'd shown Zach a knife or something." And obviously Zach was 8 at the time. And like I say, your mum was carrying you. And I remember saying to her, "Well, if he's going to bring a knife in the house, Judy, I don't want him around my baby, basically. Don't mind what you do with Ali and Zach, because that's their dad, you know what I mean? But I don't want people that carry knives around my baby." And she was like, "Yeah, no, I totally agree. He'll stay at the door from now on." And I'm like, "That's fine, whatever." And then when you were born, she once sent me a photo of him holding you. And I just basically said, "What are you doing? I've already said to you, I don't want people that carry knives around my baby." And that caused an argument over social media between me and your mum, talking, in messages and stuff. And I think it was maybe not the following time when I'd come to visit, but time after. Ali had told me that her dad had been round and were cuddling you and stuff and things like that. And obviously, I didn't actually say anything to your mum that time. I just took it on board because obviously it was Ali that told me. So, and I couldn't start saying stuff to Ali because Ali were too young. Plus, it's her dad, But that it basically showed me that I can't, or my opinion, I couldn't trust your mum in that sense, And basically, later on, I can't remember exactly how far on, but you'd been born for a while at this stage, and I think that me and your mum had possibly broken up by then. I got a message from your mum one day, and she was showing a photo of her with a warrant, if I remember correctly. And I read it, or it might have just been a photo of the warrant. I'm like, "What's gone on?" And it turned out that Chris had the house raided because he'd recorded an underage girl on his phone. Now, what he'd recorded her doing, I don't know, I don't know the contents that he'd recorded. All I know is that the police came and they raided the house and they took his phone. Now, whether or not you were too young to remember or not, I don't know, but you were born and you were in the house. But you may have been too young to remember. But anyway, they took his phone, they crushed his phone, and that made me a bit wary of Chris, obviously. And because obviously I don't, I didn't, as a new dad and a first time dad, I didn't want like someone who could be a potential predator basically around you, Not saying that he is or not, because like I say, I don't know the context of it, but let me neck this heater. So basically, that concerned me greatly, And where were we? So basically, I think me and your mum had a few arguments over that, over time especially, definitely. And just stuff just really broke down between me and your mum because of all this going on. And I think eventually, because I were concerned, your mum just got, and by then she was seeing this other fella. So basically, I think she were fed up of me. I think I'd become a nuisance to your mum. And without warning, in fact, the week before she stopped me seeing you, she'd actually borrowed money off me, funnily enough, being really nice, which I believe she bought a dog with. And so anyway, she borrowed some money off me one week. And then it was probably about 4 days later, not even that, I don't think. A couple of days later, she just, without warning, told me not to bother her again, in life, and blocked me on absolutely everything. So once that happened, I'd warned her that, like in the past when all the mad stuff were going on, that, if she didn't listen to me, mainly with this, Zach and Alia's dad with the knife and stuff. I was saying, if you don't listen to me, I will have to go legal, not knowing just how much of a nightmare the legal system is at the time. But basically, so anyway, when she cut me off, it was just abrupt. I didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to you or anything. And again, that broke my heart, Millie. As from my point of view, at least, the stuff that your mum has done to me has been unforgivable, completely unforgivable. And basically, so I ended up having to go to court to try and fight to see you, because when I started the court process, everybody advised me against going for full custody. My family, my solicitor, everybody was just saying, you won't win full custody, so don't even go for it. So I didn't. I went for xXx instead, which I'm currently under. The date today is 15th of November 25. So that means you're two in exactly a month. And at present, I've missed half of your life, basically. I think contact was... Last time I saw you physically in person was the 24th of February. Me and my family had taken you out for the day to Hidden Village, it was called, in Keighley. And it was like a little a kid's play thing, for you to... I've got photos, and it was the, most amazing time I've spent with you without your mum being there, basically. It was beautiful because my niece was with us, which is your cousin Eve, and what is it? You guys just had a whale of a time, running riot in this little place. It was so brilliant watching you, and like I say, you still couldn't walk. You were just kind of getting your balance still, and when we got you there, we put you on the floor to get playing and everything, and you could see you were like, how am I going to get about, sort of thing. And you got these two cucumbers, and you were like using cucumbers to get around the floor. It was so cute watching you, Millie. And I think it's one of my mum's greatest memories, and anyway, and we went to the local Weatherspoons, and I've got a picture of you and my niece both eating pizza, and that were a brilliant memory too. And you're absolutely, you can see you're enjoying the pizza in the photo. You're just munching it, basically. And what is it? Trying to think. Yeah, so it was just the most amazing day out, basically. And what do you call it? I think it was March. Hang on. March the 7th. It was Grandma's birthday. I remember my mum's birthday. Your mum, boom, just totally blocked me on everything. So that sort of has made it hard for your dad, because obviously that's my mum's birthday. So now I've always got the memory of, like, my mum's birthday was the day that your mum stopped me from seeing you completely, basically. Again, totally unforgivable, you know. I can never forgive your mum for her actions, basically. And yeah, just I'm just making this video basically so that you know my side of the story, and then you can make up your own mind on what has gone on between me and your mum. And you know, because I'm assuming that your mum will tell you her side as you grow up. So now I may disagree with what your mum says, and she may disagree with what I'm saying, but we both love you, Millie, and your dad's always done his best to be involved in your life, and I just want you to know that, in case anything were to happen to me, basically. Like I say, I'll keep this video regardless, you know, so if I am still alive, and basically if I don't happen to see you before you grow up, you've got this to look back on, you know, to see your dad and what he has to say, basically. I just want to make it for the record, as they say. On top of that, everything that I own, I'm gonna write a proper will, but just in case, because you never know what's around the corner, everything that I've you know, own and have owned in life, I want you to have. So any of my savings, any of my any property that I might have, or anything like that, or any belongings, I want them to be yours. And also I started when me and your mum split, I started you a savings account, and I've been playing catch up with it, because it took me a while to get around to putting stuff into it, because I just had so much going on and things like that. So lately I've been putting in about 500 at a time, just to catch it up, because as things currently stand, what do I owe you now? I think I owe you about 2,500 roughly, because your granddad had given me 500 or 600 or something to put in there, so that's why it's a little bit more than the time that you've spent on Earth, basically. But my plan were to give you £100 for every month that you're born, that you're alive, sorry. So every time I give your mum child maintenance, because I'm still paying that, and I will continue to pay that, you know, until the day that I die, or until you're an adult. And basically, so for every 100 that I give your mum, I put 100 away for you as well in your future savings account. On top of that, your dad's got his own savings accounts and things, and I don't know where they'll be, you know, when I'm gone, but you know, like they're there, basically. And I am working on buying a house. You know, it's hard, and the cost an absolute fortune. But I'm working on that one because I want to leave you, you know, some kind of inheritance basically. And I did buy some land. It's not special. I don't even know if it's worth owning. But I've got the deeds for a small plot of land. I think it's 100 foot by 100 foot by 100 foot, I think. So it's like the size of a small room, basically. But my way of thinking at the time were just like land's scarce, and maybe it'll be an investment, basically. So, you know, if hopefully by the time you're older, it's actually worth a little bit, you know. So yeah. Other than that, if anything does happen to me, your auntie Laura is worth speaking to. She may be able to help you with a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. Your cousin Eve missed you. You know, she's missed you all her life. You know, she's grown up asking where you were. And you've got another cousin, Mia, who you've never met because she was born after you. And I mean, hopefully your grandma's still here. But I sort of speak for your grandma too, because your grandma loves you to pieces, and she's heartbroken that we can't see you. And you know, that'll kill me if your grandma happens to pass away before she can see you again. You know, that alone would just destroy me, Millie. So yeah. Anyway, I want the best for you, and I hope that you do good in life. And the main thing is just to try and enjoy your life, darling. Try to find the right person. Don't just get with anybody, because I want better for you, you know, than that. You're worth $1 million, more than $1 million to me. You're infinite, you know. You're worth everything, and focus on your future, career-wise and things like that. I want you to do well there, school and university and college and all that stuff, and try to get a good job. And like I say, if I can't see you in this life, hopefully I'll see you in the next. And I love you, darling.